Hey, busy people. Welcome back. Melissa here with Be in Cozy Stitching. And I want to thank you for tuning in today, because today I have another project for you using the straight out of line ruler. That's this one here. It's by Creative Grids, and it is truly one of my favorite go-to rulers for using up scraps. Now, today for our project, we're going to be making this quilt here. And you are going to need two colors. So we're going to make it really, really simple on you. Now, can you use more colors with this quilt? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to have one focal fabric and you're going to have one background fabric or light fabric or neutral fabric or black fabric if you prefer. That's up to you, but you're going to need one color to sort of remain the same, and the other color can be anything goes. Now, when I say sort of, you could group together your scraps of creams or whites or grays, and they could be used wherever the background colors are used, and that way the quilt would read the same value and kind of hue and color. I wouldn't put super dark colors here and then light and then all different crazy colors in these. Now, can these be all different? Yep, they sure can. Or they can be the same colors. You can do 4 of the same color so that every pinwheel is a different, a different color or a different fabric. Or you can do each one of the spokes on your pinwheel as a different color. That's kind of up to you. It depends on what kind of scraps you have left over and what you're trying to achieve. Now, for my sample, I chose 2 colors because I wanted you to be able to see what it is exactly that you're going to get when we're making our quilt. So, with that said, it's time to get started. So, I'm going to turn you down, and then I'll be able to show you what's next. Okay, so those of you that already have the straight out of line ruler, you know that you can use any size block from 4 inches all the way out to 10 inches. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever size scraps you have on hand. You're just going to cut squares. When you have your squares cut, then what we're going to do is we're going to layer them. So how do we do that? Okay. So our focal fabric, or in my case, the dark fabric, is going to be laid down first, if I can get the fabric away from the other fabric and on a pile. So I want to place it right side up. Mine ended up being 6 inches because it was fabric left over from a border from another project, and I wanted to use it up. So 6 was the biggest square I could get out of there and get the most to kind of achieve some, some size of a quilt. I can't really tell you how many pieces to use or how big. Remember, this is scrappy and you're going to eyeball this. So when you have enough blocks and it's as big as you would like, or if you run out of fabric, then it's time to border it and be creative, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, we're just going to learn the technique, and then you can kind of go from there. So we're going to layer in piles of 4. So we're going to start with our focal fabric, or our dark fabric in this case. First, right side up. That's really important. You got to make sure the fabrics are right side up. Then next, we're going to layer our cream colored fabric, or our background fabric, and it too is going to be right side up. Then we're going to grab another one of our focal fabrics, and we're going to lay that on top, right side up. And then lastly, we're going to grab another one of our background fabrics. We're going to lay that on top. So now we have a pile of 4. So I have 4 6-inch blocks in this pile. I can put the other ones aside because pretty much we're done with them at that point. Then what we're going to do, and you need to remember this, whatever side you start on is the side you need to start on for all of your 4 block piles. Is that the way to put it? Yeah, I think that'll work. So for each set of 4 that you make, you need to start the same. So if I'm going to start up here on this corner with my narrow side here and my wide side here for my first cut, I have to do it this way for every single pile of 4 that I make. Otherwise, the spokes aren't going to line up. We aren't going to get a pinwheel, and we're going to get, I don't know, a stained glass collage, crazy kind of looking quilt. And that might be pretty too, but for what we're trying to do, make sure it all lays on the same side. Then it's just a simple matter of making our first cut. Now, don't move anything. You can lift your ruler, but don't move your pile. Leave it just where it is, because we need to make 2 cuts before we move it. So then the next cut that we make, and again, wherever you're going to put that ruler is where you're going to put that ruler every single time on your pile. So I've chosen to go along the bottom here, and I'm just lining up the 6-inch lines on my ruler, putting my fabric inside there, and then I'm going to make my cut. Now, I have my 2 cuts, so I have little piles that look like this now. And that's what you need to have. And then the next step, we're going to take 2 pieces of fabric from the top. And again, they have to be the same 2 pieces you use on every single pile of 4 that you put together. So I chose this one. I'm going to take my top piece and I'm going to put it on the bottom. And then I chose this one. And so I'm going to take the top piece and I'm going to put it to the bottom. So now what I have are alternating squares. So I have my background, my focus, my background, and my focus. And as you look at this, it kind of resembles, and I say kinda because we've got weird angles in here, but it kind of resembles a 4-patch. And it's going to be put together pretty much the same way as you would a 4-patch. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this top piece and this top piece. We're going to put them right sides together. Now when we put them right sides together and we line this seam up, do you see what happens? We have really weird looking fabrics that just don't line up anywhere. The angles just are not going to line up, whether it's down here or over here. Don't worry about that. What you need to worry about is that this one right here lines up. And remember, that's just taking 2 of them, putting them to get right sides together. And then we're going to start at 1/4 inch and we're going to stitch down the side so it looks like this. Then once we have this one done, we're going to move on to this one. And you can chain piece these if you want to. There's no problem with that. So we're going to take the top 2 pieces off the bottom of the pile. And again, we're just going to put right sides together. We're going to line this side up. Now they don't fit exact. Don't worry about it. It's not necessary. And again, your angles are going to be so wonky. Don't worry about it. That's normal in this instance. And then we're going to start up here and we're going to sew 1/4 inch. And we're going to continue until all 4 in our pile have been stitched that way. So what I'm going to do now is head over to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch these up quick and then I'll be right back and I will show you what to do next. Okay, kids. Now that we have these done, as you can see, I've got 1/4 inch seam down each piece. And when you open them up, and you open this one up, there you go. See, we've got opposite colors, opposite sides. You'll notice when you put them together, there is a straight side and there's an angled side. The angled side is what gets put together. And you'll notice on the straight side, it doesn't really line up. There's a little bit of overage sticking there. Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you how to square that up in just a minute. So now what I suggest you do is I suggest that you press to the dark side, whatever you deem your dark side to be, on all of your little pieces. be really careful that you don't get these pieces mixed up. If you turn a block even a little bit, it's going to get all wonky and it won't come back together again. So it's very careful. So it's very important that when you cut it in the 4, that you leave the piles in the 4 of where they're supposed to be. Maybe if you stick pin in the outside upper corner, that's an upper piece, and it needs to lay this way with this upper out. This one you could put over here. There's your upper out. This one you could put down here. This one, I don't know, you could put inner bottom here. I don't know. However, you need to mark these squares so that you don't twist them around. Because if you twist them around and then you try and sew them back together, they're going to look like this. Or they're going to be like this. And they're going to be all wonky and they're not going to fit. So you want to make sure that you don't twist or turn these when you take them to the sewing machine after you've cut them. So now let's just say that you did it right. You got everything the way that it was supposed to be. You've got your little subunits pressed to the dark side. Now, just like our 4-patch example, we're going to put these 2 pieces together and we're going to nest this little center seam here and we're going to stick our pin in. Now, because we've pressed to the dark side, each one of these seams should be laying in the opposite direction. So it will help us nest these in there nice. Now, the cheat is to open it up and look inside. And if these 2 lines right here line up, then we've done our job and it's going to come out nice and we're going to love it. And even if we don't, it's a wonky scrap piece. Have fun with it. Be good to yourself. So now that you have this whole pile of units sewn together, let's back that up. You've taken all your little 2 subunits and you've pinned them together, and now you have this massive pile so that you can just chain piece these one after the other. We're going to do a 1/4 of an inch seam down the side here. And then what we're going to end up with is a pile of little blocks. Okay. I did this step while I was over at the sewing machine, and that way I could show you quicker how to get this done. Now this one's pretty good. I don't have a lot to trim away, so that's pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that one. This one here, I've got quite a bit. See how much it's off on each side? What I don't want to see you do is get your regular ruler and get in there and just whack it away, because then the blocks are going to be too small. What I'd rather you do is make it a size bigger and then lay a square ruler on top and square all the blocks to that size ruler. Or if, as instructed with your straight out of line ruler, you're going to line this ruler up along this outer edge and this edge here and this edge over here. Now you can see when I trim this, you'll see better when I move the ruler and the block. But as you can see, I just had these itty bitty little bits to trim off in order to square that block up. And it works phenomenal. And I like the size that they come. And they're all right in there size-wise, and they go together good. So then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that the ruler goes all the way to the end of the fabric up here. And because I can't see over here very well, I'm going to kind of put my finger there as a guide to help me figure that out. You'll have the ability to walk around the block or to be right on top of it. I'm at a funky angle just so that the camera can catch this. So if mine's off a little bit, forgive me. So I'm going to line this side up. I'm going to line this side up, and I'm going to have this going straight out that way. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut what little tiny bit lands just beyond. And there you have it. My nice, lovely squared block. So then the next thing to do is get this whole pile of blocks squared. Won't that be fun? I'm so excited, I can't wait. But let me do 2 of them, and you can watch me do this one as I talk. I'll get 2 of them done, and then I can show you the next step with what we have to do. The fun part about this ruler is we don't really have a whole lot to match up. And I love that. It's so freeing. We don't have to get caught up in the perfection. We can just get caught up in the fun. So again, as you can see, very, very little trimming. Not a problem. If it's off ever so slightly, remember that falls within your 1/4 inch seam. So you're really good. We call that the fudge factor. So the next thing, actually, you know what? I probably should do 4 of them so you can see what I'm talking about. You don't mind watching me do it again? That way you get practice and you know what you're doing so that when you get your ruler out. The only thing you got to make sure, I'm using this edge and this edge on the straight side, not the angled side, okay? The angled side is not going to help you. So make sure that you're on the 2 straight sides that actually look like a half a square. Does that make sense? If not, leave me a comment down below and I'll try and find a better way to explain it to you so that you can have success too. But what I'm going to do here is finish up squaring my 4. Because then, yep, you guessed it, the next thing to do is to sew together 4 of these lovelies. And when we sew these 4 lovelies together, we get 1 block. Now, alrighty, so let's get these out of the way so we have more room. Get that out of the way. Now, when we lay these out, what I want you to do is make sure that all of your dark is kissing in the center. And this is the center. So we want all of these to kiss right in the center. See how that looks? Isn't that fun? I just love it. So this is, in effect, 1 block. 1 complete block. And so the next thing that we have to do is we have to, just like our 4 patch, put right side together, sew a 1/4 inch, put right side together, sew a 1/4 inch, all the way down until we get a piece that looks like this. And then it doesn't really matter which way you press it. That's completely and totally up to you. And then we end up with another piece that looks like this. So then once we have our 4 little subunits stitched together, then it's a matter of, again, meeting that center seam. So we're going to fold this back. We're going to wiggle that in until it fits right in there. We're going to put our pin right there. We're going to open it up, make sure that it matches, and it does. And then we're going to sew this down. And if you need more pins to keep everything lined up, by all means, use pins. But then we're going to sew down a 1/4 inch there. And what we end up with is our block. 1 4-patch block. Now, I'm going to tip you guys up, and then I'm going to show you on the wall how we slide all these 4 patches in here. So, give me just a second. Okay, so now we're tipped up and you can see the wall here. And you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to have to turn around so my back will be to you, and I apologize, but I'd much rather you see what's going on here than have you look at my face. So, now we have our little 4-patch blocks. And it's just a simple matter of placing them together to make our rows. Every other one is going to be a pinwheel of the opposite color, whether it's background or whether it's your focus fabric. But either way, this is how simple it will be for you to put your blocks up there and then stitch them together. Now, remember, you're doing scraps. So if these are all different color, that's okay. These are going to be the same color family or shade or value, and they're going to give you contrast so that you can actually see your colored ones. Or these four are going to be the same color, these four are going to be the same color. So when you put them together in these little subunits, you have to pay attention to where your colors go. And so I would tell you, lay it all out first, and then take it from here to the sewing machine and put it back up here so that all your colors line up and you have them exactly where you want them to be. But whether you're using a 4-inch block or a 10-inch block, you can see how quick and easy this is going to come together. And it's a great way to use up scraps. I just love it. So I hope you guys will give this a try. I hope you've enjoyed this quick, easy, simple little tutorial to show you one more option of exactly what to do with your straight out of line ruler. And I have more ideas to come because I just love this ruler. I can't get enough of it, and I can't wait to see what else I can do with it. So with that said, thanks for coming in today. I hope you give this a shot, and I will see you back here in the workroom again next week. Don't forget to watch the weekly catch-ups, because the weekly catch-ups are where I'm going to start showing you all of these quilts when they're finished. And I really want you to see them because it'd be really cool. And of course, you can always go over to our Instagram or Facebook page and see pictures of the completed quilts. I like to put those out there so you guys can get a real taste or flavor or view, however you want to word it, of what it actually looks like when it's all done, because I'm just pleased as punch with these quilts. They are turning out so beautiful, and even the teeny tiniest smallest scraps are becoming magnificent quilts. So you want to go over there and catch the weekly catch-ups, because we show a lot of stuff in the weekly catch-ups that we get done, or very honestly, we show you or tell you that we got absolutely nothing done that week. Oh well, what are you gonna do? Anyway, thanks again. I appreciate your stopping in, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.